why don't you introduce yourself, Anne, and what Aimee Says is?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Anne Wintemute. I am the CEO and co-founder of Aimee Says, and my background is in helping people make sense of all of the crazy chaos. And about 2.5 years ago, we started using AI to do that and have brought that kind of clarity to over 70,000 people from 160 countries.
Wow, amazing. So what made you start what exactly is Aimee Says?
So Aimee Says is like a specialized chat GPT, and it's specialized in a variety of ways. One is that it's more private. The second is it's trained on better data, but also it's specialized that it's not just the chat that you're having. We have a bunch of other kind of simultaneous or parallel processes that are going on to help you turn that story, that lived experience, that messy, unstructured data, as we call it, and have that turned into structured data. So you can see it's time stamped. This happened here. It happened before that. This was gaslighting. That was blame shifting, and uses large language models to kind of put like an expert in everyone's pocket, that helps take what everything we know about abuse and ties it directly to their own experience of narcissistic abuse, coercive control, domestic violence, whatever you're most comfortable calling it.
Amazing. Yeah, it's such a cool app, honestly. I love the calendar function of it where it's like it literally compiles like a calendar of each day that abuse happened so you're not
Mhm.
like gaslighting yourself.
Yes, exactly. So the way that stuff gets into the calendar, the timeline, we have hot spots, these bubbles that show you all of the things that you're experiencing. There's a couple of ways to get that information in there. One is it's automatically happening as you talk. Right? You're just doing your natural storytelling and she's populating that timeline. So for lots of folks, they talk for a couple of weeks and then they go, what's this button over here with these kind of bright purple badge showing me there's 25. Click on it for the first time, see what it kind of looks like behind the curtain, if you will. Like our experience really is data,
Yeah.
right? Like if we're having like a complicated health issue, these symptoms started here and I started getting headaches and it was worse when I ate this food and not that one. Like it's really hard to keep track of.
Mhm.
So is the experience of being targeted by someone
Yeah.
else's, coercion. Uh, it's like a headache log, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's so confusing too, because then when they love bomb you, you don't think it's abuse. And so if you have like a thing to just type in, like even just as you would use ChatGPT as your therapist in a way, you could use Aimee Says instead, because it's obviously safer and more targeted for this. And it'll like help you kind of not get sucked into that love bombing as well, because that's obviously abuse too.
Yes, it absolutely is. We have folks, typically they had a past relationship that was coercive, and so they're really, really kind of nervous about not ending up in another one. And they say, we don't date without Amy, even in that early phase where everything still feels good, because that is a flip side of the same coin, is if the good feelings, the love bombing, are there to reduce your resistance to what's going to happen next. It is straight up the same as any other type of abuse.
Absolutely. And that's so smart that people are using that to date. Because sometimes it's like, I get clients all the time asking me, like, how do I make sure I don't get into this again? And like, I have referred them to Aimee Says if in a few cases, just in case. And, just because like it's hard to really once you've been through it, it's like very easy to fall for the love bombing because it feels great. So getting into a relationship and just using Aimee Says right off the bat, I feel like is such a great idea because you're just preventing yourself from falling into the trap again.
Oh gosh, I hope so. And the thing is, it love bombing in one relationship. It has the same, no matter the relationship and what it looks like, it has the same goal and the same outcome. but it really does look different relationship to relationship. So sometimes what happens is the person is like, oh, well, last time they told me that they loved me on date 3, and by date 10, they were just asking how I wanted to be proposed to, whatever it looked like in relationship A. So they think, okay, well, if that happens again, they tell me they love me on date 3 and they're talking about a proposal on date 10, then I'll
Mhm.
know. It's a lot more subtle than that. And thinking, well, I've seen it once, so I'll know it when it happens again, might not really be the protection that we think it is,
Yeah.
because it's gonna sound different. It's gonna sound different.
So true. It's so true because you think you know the red flags, but
Mhm.
you make them so specific and you don't want the next person to be a narcissist. So it's like you just compare them to the previous one and
Mhm.
you kind of convince yourself and gaslight
Yeah.
yourself to think that like, okay, well, this person didn't say I love you on date 3, so therefore they
Yes.
can't be a narcissist. So, yeah.
Yes, yes, especially you see people, their first narcissistic relationship is a grandiose narcissist, right? And they're flamboyant, and they're loud, and they're, pushy, and well, I'll know it when I see it. And then they realize they end up in a long-term relationship with a covert narcissist,
Hmm.
right? Because they're like, oh, well, narcissism looks like that. Well, it looks like a
Yeah,
lot of things, and it takes a really
exactly.
strong internal little meter to be
Yeah.
able to detect it no matter what it looks like in the moment.
Exactly, because there's like 6 different types of narcissists. So the pattern is the same: love, bomb, devalue, discard, but
Mhm.
how that manifests is different depending on what kind of narcissist you're dealing with. So
Yes.
if you had a malignant one or an overt one, it's more obvious. But then when you're dealing with the coverts, those are the most dangerous ones, in my opinion, because it's hidden, the abuse, like it's so, they seem so normal at first. And
Hmm.
so to be able to have something, I wish I had this back in the day.
We hear that a lot. We hear that a lot. Yeah.
Right, like it
Yeah.
would have saved a lot of headaches, but I'm so
Yes.
glad it exists now.
Now, better late than never.
Yeah,
And, I know that there are folks watching right now and folks like you who I assume, when you've been through it, you want to do whatever you can to help other people get help earlier and earlier and earlier, kind of in that decision making space.
yeah,
So, yes, it wasn't available, however long ago you needed it. But it'll be available to you to share with someone else at that
exactly,
point in their journey. At that point in
exactly.
their journey. Yep.
Exactly. And so what gave you the idea to like even make this? Because it's just so damn clever. Like I feel like everyone watching this, including myself, is like, I wish I came up with this.
I wish you had two. Maybe it would have been earlier. Um,
Probably not.
I was working with survivors, and maybe I can help 10 people at a time. And it's really kind of complex. They ended the relationship, but they had babies, they had children with their abusive partners, and so I mean, this just creates a whole new level of chaos after separation. And so really to try to help them navigate through the custody evaluations, through the custody, determinations by the court and whatnot. I could maybe help 10 people at a time. It's very labor intensive. I I'm not free, right? I'm not close to free in the amount of man hours,
Yep.
woman hours that it takes to do that. I mean, it is inhumane that people who are targeted victims of this kind of psychological and sometimes also physical violence, they have to take it, they have to withstand it. It's different, taking it and withstanding it are two separate
Yep.
tasks.
Yep.
They have to interpret it, they have to document it, and
Yeah.
then, oh my gosh, after all of that, and it's still ongoing, they have to prove it.
Yeah.
Right, they have to be their own district attorney, their own DA, and I just think that that is inhumanity on inhumanity.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of really great advocates out there, although there's not enough to go
Yeah.
around. There's not enough advocates to go around. But even they can't spend the kind of time that a survivor needs to help understand their whole experience. So AI came out. I was doing this very labor intensive side by side work with these incredibly resilient people. And well, if AI can play a role in here, what is that role? So we really focused on how could technology help lift burdens that were being independently carried by the survivors. And those are emotional burdens and they're administrative, right? Like
Yeah.
journaling is an administrative process. Tagging, labeling, all of that's an administrative process. And we just don't think that you should need like an executive assistant
Yeah.
to do all of this.
Yeah. It's like a full-time job, like especially like people who are dealing with a divorce from a narcissist or like having a custody battle. And it's like, first of all, like the system's so broken,
Mhm.
they automatically don't believe you, which I think that's like a whole other conversation. And then, it's like to have to document everything.
Mhm.
You can do it, but then it gets disorganized and then it's like
Mhm.
all this other stuff is happening. And so I
Yeah.
love how with Aimee Says, it like actually makes a PDF that you could give to a lawyer with
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the
You can
information.
build a binder, right? Like you've got all my events. I've given you all the evidence. We've had all of these chats. Aimee, build a binder. A minute and a half later, she's got 200 exportable, tagged, labeled, organized pages
Amazing.
for you to hand over. But most people, while the needs are really, really high, if you end up in that situation and you don't really have a choice, the deadline's going to pass, right? Like you are forced to participate or drown in the civil and criminal litigation systems. But even outside of that, just dating or having a boss or a mom or a sibling, someone inside of a dysfunctional family dynamic who exhibits these kinds of behaviors, you don't have to have all that legal stuff for it to be
Mhm.
a kind of administrative nightmare,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
I remember I
and
used to have to take recordings of my mother because I was so confused and like
Mhm.
just documenting all that was a nightmare. So,
Yes, no, you are absolutely right. And the harm, the stakes might be higher when you have kids,
yeah,
right? That's a different echelon. The harm, no matter
yeah,
what those stakes are. If you got a mother or a partner or even a colleague or boss who is persistently sabotaging you, emotionally, psychologically, financially, whatever, that harm is real. You don't ever have to be at risk of physical violence or, like that. There never has to be a moment where you're like, I need to call a hotline for that
yeah,
harm to be real and for you to deserve the kind of support and community and collaboration with someone that you don't have to defend yourself
yeah,
against.
yeah, absolutely. And it's such a shit show, like just to say the least. Like it's such a shit show. And, even if there's no court stuff happening, I know it says like on Aimee Says like partner, but like it can be your mother, it can be a sibling, it can be anybody. So if you are interested in trying Aimee Says, it's not just for partnership stuff, but it will say that. But again, just tell it it's your
Mhm.
mother or your sister or your whoever.
Yes.
And it's going to recognize the abuse and the manipulation tactics, and it's going to do all the same stuff for you as it would if it was a partner. And I just think it's amazing. Like, there's just so much discourse around AI and how, like, people usually have something negative to say about it,
Mhm.
but I think this is one of those use cases of AI where it's like amazing and it's going to give people so much clarity. And like, not everybody has people that they can talk to about
Mhm.
this, or people who understand, or people in their friend group who get what's going on and won't say like, oh no, give him a chance, like he probably didn't mean it this way, and like just that, the world's a beautiful place kind of personality or whatever. And
Yes.
you just need the truth and the reality and the facts.
Yes, if it were easy to rely on our support people for help with this, it wouldn't be the size of the problem that
Yeah,
it is. I mean, even your best friend who means the best is going to see the experience that you're sharing through their own lens, and that lens
exactly.
is bias, right? That
Yes.
lens is bias, and AI. I am one of the people who says negative things about using AI tools, and it's like the airplane. We invented the airplane. And now we could get like grandma and grandpa to granddaughter's birth, and the most amazing things became possible. And then the next day they figured out how to put a bomb on that plane
Hmm.
and use it for war,
Yeah.
right? Like every every tool has its potential good and bad
Totally.
utilizations. And when we think about AI, there's a lot of people who are going to contribute to energy and water shortages in order to do things that didn't need to be done to begin with, or to make things faster, more expedited, that aren't really all that impactful. But
Right.
I tell you what, if someone told me tomorrow we can solve world hunger, we can solve violence against women, we can solve intractable public health issues that are so diminishing of a people, a person's quality of life, many people's quality of life. That I think that's worth it. I think that's worth some of the impacts that we're going to see downstream from AI. But I'm not going to use it to write a poem to remind my children to put the toilet seat down after they go to the bathroom, right? Which
Yeah.
is how a lot of tokens are being spent. I want to make
Yep.
sure that the AI credits and tokens that we're running are really improving the quality and safety of people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there's the big corporations using AI that's going to like destroy more of the environment than like your couple of questions a day to Aimee Says. So, there's, I feel like everything, there's like a negative impact to the
Mhm.
environment. Just peopling is bad for the environment.
Yes, yes, but no,
You know,
no diminishing of the concerns
yeah,
about the environment. It's an important thing to consider, and people are going to figure out where they are on the line. And for me, the part I'm on, on the line is the things that haven't been solved because they're too expensive to solve, or they don't mean enough to people with money to come up with a
hmm
solution, whatever. Let's use AI in those places.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this is, my favorite use of AI, to be totally honest. Like, we don't need more stupid videos of like a cat walking, it's
Yeah,
just,
I I might be guilty of watching those a few
oh,
times. They
same.
are
Yeah,
kind of funny how they get the
they are.
hips really going and they're
Yeah.
shame on me.
No, I watch them too. But I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, you can't say anything bad about it. You really can't say anything bad about it being AI. Like,
Ah,
it's, first of all, it's affordable. It's like what, $20 a month or something.
yeah, if you have an account, it's
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
to chat. She won't remember you the next day. When you navigate away, it's gone. So if you
Yeah.
need her to remember and you want all the tagging and the labeling and the timeline and everything, you do have to make an account. You're giving us permission to safely store that data for you.
Yeah. Totally. But
Yeah,
it's still affordable. It's like
very.
less than a therapy session, way less, like a fraction. It's less than
Yes.
coaching with me, that's for sure. And I'm such a great marketer for myself.
When I was coaching directly at the same time I was ramping up Aimee, and I thought, all my clients are going to leave me for Aimee.
Not enough.
No, no,
No.
no one, no, they
Yeah.
didn't. You form those relationships, but we can only help so many people, and Aimee just makes room for everybody else at the table.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, it's available 24/7.
Ah,
Whereas our coaching clients, it's like, hey, like, these are the hours, prepare for your appointment, and that's the only time you can talk about
mhm.
it. Um, and it's never, AI is never going to replace human connection, but it's so great to have something in your pocket that, if you're spiraling in the moment, you have this tool and it's going to just give you that clarity. And I think that's just amazing.
Yes, and then when you show up for that appointment, instead of having to recover from that spiral,
Yep.
right, which is triage, right? You get a client on the phone with you or in a Zoom call and they're spinning, and you know what it looks like, you know what it feels like. Okay, we're triage. The strategy is going to wait because we got a triage in that moment. But being able to have folks arrive not in need of triage but feeling empowered and having the language and ready to do the strategy work, I mean, that makes the one-to-one time so much more
Yeah.
valuable.
Exactly, because then you're actually working on the strategy rather
Yes.
than like the vent. Like, and venting's fine, but like,
Mhm.
rather than having the full hour of venting and then like you have to book another session to actually get to the point of what you're trying to do strategy wise,
Mhm.
at least, it makes things more efficient.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what are some other really cool features that Aimee does?
So we can talk a little bit more about how it's different from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel similar in that folks are having a chat in a typed chat space. You can use audio as well, but you can also store over 1,000 documents. So every time one of those events comes up, like, yeah, he called me 11 times after like circling my house. Amy's going to grab that. She's going to automatically grab that. It's going to go on your timeline, and then you're going to add that screenshot. It's going to keep those pieces of information together. We also, and this is literally happening in another window over here. I got you on my cell phone. I got one monitor up here and another monitor up over here. We are about to release the ability to take all those text message records, so it's a CSV of all of those files, upload them. Aimee will turn all of it into events, label all of the
Wow.
abuse within that. So folks who are like, I don't know, I've been battling this thing with my mom, and I just feel like every time I try to talk to her, I'm beating my head against a wall. She will literally read every one of those text messages and be like, okay, here's what's going on over here. And she's deflecting accountability over here. Here's the timeline. Here's what it looks like, all color coded. So we've got that coming out,
Amazing.
and we're just going to keep building any problem that we can solve, kind of built on this platform of how we manage people's data, those discrete kind of experiences and whatnot. We're going to build it because this is just one of the most silent and impactful diseases, right? Like things that we can experience, and it has such a long lasting life altering impact, and we have so few resources to apply to this problem relative to how prevalent it is.
Yep.
We're going to do everything we can using technology to keep hacking away at those problems and building solutions.
Amazing. I love that. That's awesome. Honestly, like kudos to you, like for even having the technical brain to figure it out. Like
Uh,
that must I couldn't even imagine what's
uh,
involved in like just the coding and like whatever.
I don't get the credit. I'm going to give shout out to our original co-founder Stephen Nichols for getting us off the ground, and now Ann Salaska, incredible data scientist. They show me. I pretend I understand, what all of the lines of code mean, but fortunately, people who are much smarter than me are working on the back end.
Amazing. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. And any final words of wisdom or anything, anyone who's like on the fence of trying out Aimee Says, like, or maybe they're scared of their privacy or
Mhm.
someone logging into their device and being able to see the conversation or something like that.
Yeah, perfect last words. Lots of people are skeptical. I'm an AI skeptic as well, and a lot of us on our team are AI skeptics. You're allowed to be skeptical. It's not black or white. You can role play, you can do hypotheticals, you can kind of play around the edges of your skepticism and just decide what feels right for you. This is all about consent. You get to decide if this works for you or not. But the privacy part is really important. Let's talk about that. We don't ever train on people's chats. None of our LLM partners can. They're also all prohibited from training. That's going to be different than if you're using something like ChatGPT. And then kind of like if you went to, a private confidential hotline chat, similarly, if you exit that window and you're an anonymous user, you're not logged in, you don't have an account, it's gone. It is not recoverable. So if you have concerns about whether or not you really have digital privacy, it's a great tool to use. The caveat to that is if you don't know if you have a keystroke monitor on a device, use a different device. That's one thing we can't prevent. We can't, someone's got a keystroke
Yeah,
monitor on. We can't, just wipe the conversation later and not have that user
right.
side or device side information retained. So yeah, use a secure device. You click one button. We're not going to ask for your email address. You don't have to provide any private information. You can use other people's names if you want to, whatever you're comfortable with. And if it helps and you think continuing will help more, then we encourage you to give that a try. Folks deserve to not be tortured by the memories, sometimes the stuff that's happened in the past,
Yeah,
by the ongoings. You deserve a life where you can put to rest because you feel like they're understood. You can put to rest your history, and be your best future. Build into your best future.
yeah, that's so powerful. It's like you get to finally have control over your life. Whereas the narcissist was trying to have control over your life the whole time. Now this is like a tool to start taking those baby steps to take back that control
Yeah.
and gain the clarity that you need.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. And last question, how can people find you? What are your social media handles?
I'm up here. Aimee Says DV is there. You can follow us on Instagram. We don't have a huge social media presence. You can find us at aimeesays.com, and it's AIMEE is how you spell Aimee. Aimeesays.com. If you want to put the app on your desktop, you can. You're not going to find us in the App Store. You keeps the download history more discreet to not be downloading
Smart.
it through
Very smart.
through an app store.
You thought of it
But
all.
yep. Literally 20 seconds from now, you could be having your first chat.
Amazing. And if
Yeah.
you're watching this live, there is a red banner that says Try Aimee Says. Click on that. You can use coupon code Adriana to get your first month free. That's Adriana with one N. Um, and yeah, I will, if you're watching this on the YouTube replay, I'll drop the link in the pinned comment underneath the video. Same thing if you're watching this replay on Facebook, and if you're watching the replay on Instagram, just type Aimee Says in the comments or my DMs and you'll get the link to try it out as well.
Perfect.
Yay, thanks so much for going live with me today, Anne, and amazing app. Like, can't say enough good things about it, and I'm sure we'll probably do another one of these in the future.
Yes, let's do another one. We'll break it down, how to do this and how to do
Yeah,
that in Aimee. Yes,
totally.
and that coupon code, you guys will get 37 days. There's a 7-day trial, and then Adriana's going to give you another 30 days free. That is plenty of time to really kind of take a good hard look at how something that can help put together the pieces of your past can work for you. It's highly recommend.
Absolutely. Amazing. All
Thank you.
right.
All
Well, thanks for being here. And yeah, we'll chat soon. Take
right.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.